This is Greece, and I know what you're thinking. Despite being spelled that way, it is actually pronounced Greece instead of Gris. Greece is actually French for grey, and I'll get into the significance of what that means in a little bit. What you need to know now is that this is the first game made by Nomada Studio, a new indie outfit that was created for the purpose of making this game. The studio is new, but the talent behind it is anything but, and it really shows. To put it simply, Greece is the most beautiful game I've ever played. It opens on a cutscene of the main character losing her voice before her world is stripped of all color and she's sent tumbling to the ground. It's symbolic of some kind of great trauma, or at least that's how I view it. The narrative of the game is left up to you to interpret in your own way, and I think that's kind of wonderful. There's no dialogue, no hand-holding, and no exposition. It's a bold move, especially for an indie game from a previously unheard of development studio, but it's one that pays off. Even in grayscale, Greece's world is absolutely stunning. It's so beautiful, in fact, that for me it created a sort of cognitive dissonance. I found myself constantly taking screenshots of this game. Every single frame of animation looks like it could be ripped straight from a high-end animated film, which is even more impressive when you consider that the game wasn't created using traditional animation techniques, similar to what Studio MDHR did for Cuphead. Seeing treetops appear as though ink was poured on a page, or seeing Greece's dress flow as she ran across vast open landscapes blew me away. When I remembered that I was in control of this experience, I felt awestruck. Even more awesome is that it's on the Nintendo Switch rather than a more powerful console. The Switch is an interesting console choice though, because for once, this doesn't really feel like a game that's particularly well suited to it. The Switch's screen and speakers really don't do this game justice. I highly recommend you play in docked mode with the sound turned up or with headphones on. As you progress through the game, you'll return color to the world. Each of the 4 colors you can unlock feels like a catharsis for the main character as she bursts into tears and hues appear like watercolor poured onto a canvas. Each color is unlocked following what could best be described as a boss battle, though I'll talk a bit more about that later. Greece is definitely beautiful, but it takes more than amazing graphics or sleek presentation to make a good game. Fortunately, the more game-like elements of Greece work well, but there will be players who are disappointed or dissatisfied with the fact that the game isn't challenging enough. There are no enemies in Greece, nor is there any threat of death. If I had to assign it a genre, I'd call it a puzzle platformer. You run, jump, slide down hills, and gain new abilities as you progress through the world. The point of each area is to collect stars which will combine when you reach the end of that area to form a part of a constellation. Even without the threat of failure, Greece manages to be incredibly engaging thanks to masterful use of the camera and intuitive level design. During my playthrough, at no point did I ever feel lost. That's all the more remarkable when you consider that there are almost no tutorials in this game. The most you'll see is a quick prompt telling you how to use a newly gained ability, and even then, you'll see those only once. Instead, Greece opts for subtle environmental cues to tell you where to go and what to do. If you need to be over to the left, the camera will pan slightly in that direction. The game assumes some level of ability on the part of the player, and I absolutely love it for that. What Greece lacks in challenge, it makes up for by not beating you over the head with what you should do next. Each area follows roughly the same formula. You'll follow a linear path until you reach a spot where you'll get a new ability. Then you use that ability to solve puzzles, each of which will give you a star. Once you've collected all the stars, you'll face off against that area's boss. Well, boss is a bit of a mischaracterization. These creatures will never kill you, though they're certainly threatening. The way they're animated is just kind of unnerving. A mass of blackness that becomes a massive bird or eel that chases you relentlessly may not sound all that terrifying, but when I was playing it, I felt a real sense of anxiety trying to get away. When I finally did escape, I felt a wave of relief. By the time I reached the end of Greece in just under 5 hours, the game had made me run through the gamut of emotion. The way I interpreted the ending had me in tears, and for some, I suspect it'll have a profound impact. That said, there's no denying that Greece isn't for everyone. If artistic games aren't your thing, Greece probably isn't going to change your mind. It's a stunning game, but it's held aloft on the strength of its art. Personally, I love it, and if you're willing to give it a chance, I think you will too. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to subscribe to GameXplain for more reviews just like this one.